When I talk about Donald Trump lately, I try to focus on two primary topics that I find to be by far the most important things to hammer home when I'm communicating with people that maybe don't keep up with the news all that much. That being Trump's overtly fascist takeover of American cities that happen to have politics that don't lean in his direction, and his moves to hide the Epstein files from Americans. He has used the Republican Party to cover them up, and as the Democrats push for them to be released and actively have a vote going to do so, the Republicans keep the government shut down because once it's open, a Democrat has to be nominated who has vowed to vote yes and give the final vote needed for the Epstein files to be made public. And all the while, a lot of people are talking about other things that Donald Trump is up to, and, you know, I don't really care all that much while Donald Trump is hiding a literal cabal of pedophiles from us, who all have power and money and wealth and fame, as well as the fact that Trump is actively waging war against American cities. Kind of takes up a lot of my attention when it comes to Trump, but this story has taken off in an unprecedented way, and a lot of people are mad about it. Dare I say, even many of his own supporters. And to be fair, the faith his supporters have in him has been shaken as of late. You guys might recall that recently he gave the authority for, I believe it was Qatar, to build an air base on American soil in Ohio. People are not happy about that. They're not. They are really mad. Because to the average Trump supporter, all they see that as is Trump just gave the green light for a bunch of people from the Middle East to fly planes over America. And it may be a horribly ignorant, racist thought. Iowa, not Ohio. Okay, Iowa, sorry. It may be a horrible racist thought process, but we're talking about conservative Trump supporters here. And they hear Qatar and flying planes over America. They all think 9/11. They all think terrorists. They went apeshit. Trump's own supporters are mad at him right now. So it should be no wonder that a fair amount of them are mad at him about this as well. Kind of makes sense. And I'd say it's for different reasons on either side. For the average conservative who is kind of thrown off by this from Trump, this is, to them, un-American. It's a sign of vanity and pride overtaking a love for America's traditions and the idea of America. And for the left, it is an instance of Trump making a show out of destroying something that is meant to symbolize women in America, right? Like powerful American women. That being the East Wing of the White House, which Trump has long talked about wanting to replace with a ballroom, but the process has now actually begun. Donald Trump is having the East Wing demolished and having a gaudy, probably gold-plated Trump Mar-a-Lago-looking ass ballroom put in its place. And for those that don't know, the East Wing of the White House is famously the women's wing. It is the wing of the White House often associated with, like, the First Lady. It is often associated with, like, women's liberation, women's rights. It's the women's wing of the White House. That's its nickname, right? There's a very real reason why Donald Trump chose the East Wing to be the one he would demolish to make this ballroom. And make no mistake, the White House has the budget and the space to have gotten rid of something else or added room to make this ballroom if they needed to. There was a statement being made when Trump chose to demolish this part of the White House. It's an extra insult to women. Yeah, intentionally, for sure. This is meant to be an insult to women. And it's arguably an insult to his wife as well. I'd argue that. Now, no one likes this. Like, this is a nobody liked this type moment, because it's purely meant for Trump's vanity. Not even Trump supporters can defend it in any meaningful way outside of trying to say, why do you care? Why do you care? The fact is, Trump is spending amazingly high amounts of American tax dollars on this project. That's right, we're paying for this. If you're enjoying this video and you want to support me, consider leaving a like and a comment down below. If you're watching live, hit that like button if you haven't already. Really does help a lot, and I appreciate it a ton. But let's get right into it, shall we? Let's see what everybody is dunking on Trump about. Let's see what the deal is, the news is with this White House remodel.
Demolition has begun on the East Wing.
Oh yeah, it's not paid for by our tax dollars. It was paid with bribes. You're right. I forgot about that. It was the bribes, not the tax dollars. I don't know why my brain like auto-corrected that in my head. But yeah, he was literally taking foreign bribes, not corporate bribes. I thought it was foreign bribes he was taking to pay for this, right? Isn't this from like, is this not like money from like Qatar or something? I didn't think it was from American companies. I thought it was like foreign bribes he's taking. Corporate? All right, if you say so.
Of the White House to make way for the president's 90,000 square foot ballroom, which is expected to cost around $200 million, is being paid for by the president and other private donors. The East Wing traditionally houses the First Lady's staff.
Other private donors.
It will be fully modernized. With us now is Alyssa Farah-Griffin, who was the White House communications director in the
Good Lord, what is this quietness? Give me some audio.
first Trump administration. We both keep looking at these pictures going like, wow, that just looks weird. Let me play you something the president said about this proposed ballroom earlier.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it.
Trump lies like he breathes, so this should not surprise anybody.
So he said it won't interfere with the current building. He said that back in July here. It seems to be interfering with a big chunk of the building that got knocked down here. How surprised are you that he's doing this?
Well, listen, he advertised he was going to do this. And I do remember in the first term, he had this huge frustration with the fact that he couldn't do massive state dinners that you'd see in other countries. So like the state room can only hold something like 150. The East room, maybe a little more than that. So he's always wanted this grand ballroom, something that you would see in England or something. But
It really is bizarre that we have a spoiled rich kid running America. And like, the people chose him, and a lot of them still stand by that choice and will fight you about it. We are truly a stupid fucking country, dude.
I think it's going to end up, based on what I've kind of heard, is it's going to look a lot more like a Mar-a-Lago ballroom than perhaps like Buckingham Palace. But we'll see. We'll wait for the designs to come through.
Donald Trump's taste in decor is unbelievably tacky. It is disgusting. If you've not seen what the inside of Mar-a-Lago looks like, it looks like, it's trying so hard to look like European, like Victorian style, not even pre-Victorian style, like that really ornate kind of like palace walling you'll see in like French palaces and British palaces and whatnot, like where the walls are, they have this like ornateness to them. He tries to go for that kind of style, but it comes out real tacky because Trump always wants to cut costs. He's a cheap bastard. He wants to look rich, but he can't actually, like, play that game. He can talk the talk, but he can't walk that walk. You know what I mean?
But this is something he wanted. He wants that pomp and circumstance, and he wants to leave his mark on this White House. He wants in 50 years and 100 years for there to be a reminder that Donald Trump was in this White House.
It is jarring, though, to see wrecking balls like tear down these walls that we've seen.
It's a fully working building. Even the East Wing, you've got the First Lady's staff has their offices there. Some of legislative staff did in his first term. So even when construction starts, I wonder what that's going to be like during the day, because I imagine he's going to want to move very quickly here. He's going to want his ballroom soon. He's certainly not going to want the next guy to inherit it in 3 years.
So it's not just this, right? He also paved over part of the Rose Garden here.
Yeah, and the theme seems to be...
Mind you, the Rose Garden, it's actually if I'm not mistaken, the First Lady's Rose Garden, right? Like, it is meant to be, like, the part of the White House lawn for the First Lady to, like, specifically design and set up. I'm pretty sure the whole garden of the White House, typically the First Lady is behind the design of that and makes all the major decisions, if I'm not wrong. I feel like that's been tradition, but this is very much meant to be a message to women. That, like, even within the White House, like, the ideas that a woman's place there is to be respected are not ideals that the Trump family in power cares about.
Mar-a-Lago, but make it DC, because you see the new Rose Garden. You've got even the umbrellas from Mar-a-Lago, those sort of yellow country club looking ones. I'm curious what this will end up looking like. He does like grand, ornate.
Imagine he just starts setting up Quonset huts everywhere. Like it's some Florida tiki bar. It's just like those straw thatch huts. And he just turns like the whole front yard of the White House into a bar. He's just blasting Jimmy Buffett and has like people like selling margaritas all day. Like, we need money.
Trumpian style. I expect there'll be a lot of gold. But I think listen, you're going to have critics of this. I'd like just plain and simple. If it doesn't adhere to the original architecture of the White House, if it doesn't look like it fits in and kind of keeps that sort of the look that it has. So I think we'll see.
What do you think the next president will do? I guess when you're talking about the ballroom, they're not going to change that. That is what it is. But I do wonder about the Rose Garden.
I could see somebody going back to that. Like, listen, Trump complained both on the South Lawn and the Rose Garden. It's hard for events. The chairs, the risers, they sink into the ground. Women's shoes do. That's a very legitimate concern. But I think the paving over it, I could see somebody later actually deciding that they want to change that.
So the president also last week unveiled plans to build a triumphal arch, which some are calling the Arc de Trump.
Yeah, people were telling me about the Arc de Trump and asking me to cover it. I don't know how much information there is about it, but if anything relevant exists about it currently, then we'll probably hear about it here, and you'll hear my thoughts. It sounds very cringe. Is it gonna be like the McDonald's M arches? Is that, like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna end up looking like the McDonald's M. More or less. Like, is Donald Trump trying to evoke the golden arches of McDonald's? It is his favorite restaurant, after all. Imagine Trump just builds a giant, like, solid gold McDonald's M in the White House lawn. We are truly descending into idiocracy. Didn't Trump announce he was going to be holding, like, an MMA match or something, or a boxing match at the White House? Or a WWE event would be held at the White House? It's idiocracy, man. It's real.
Across from the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, how far do you think he's going to push this remaking of Washington, D.C.?
I think he's going to push it quite far. I mean, listen, from the Kennedy Center becoming practically the Trump Center with his board of directors, him hosting events there, I think he wants to leave his mark on Washington. There is a comfort level that Trump has in the second term that he did.
That is the worst sentence I've ever heard. Trump wants to leave his mark. Ugh.
Not have in the first term. It was a lot of learning the building, learning the machinations of government, and now he wants to leave his mark on history, so I expect you're going to see even more of it.
Zan, what do you think about the twice French Museum expensive jewelry stolen heists? Well, listen, I was sick the last few days. That's why I wasn't streaming, okay? I was sick. I wasn't feeling well. That's why I was gone. Okay.
You were in the White House, just very quickly. How much did he talk about building stuff when he was there?
The ballroom was a real concern because it is tough when you want to do something large. You can have to expand to the outside or open up doors. There isn't something that can really fit if you want 300, 400 people. So this was a long-term concern. The Rose Garden as well, I didn't think he was going to go full concrete. I thought maybe like some lattices, something a little, I don't know, more garden-y.
You can play Foursquare out.
I love that Trump is turning the White House into, like, not even a tacky place. He's turning it into, like, a cheap place. There's a difference between tacky and cheap. And Donald Trump is going to make the White House look cheap. That is a hard thing to do, but he's actually pulling it off. He's actually going to make the whole Capitol look cheap.
They're even 9 square if you have enough chalk. Melissa Farrah-Griffin, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The current renderings of the privately funded ballroom are very much a reflection of Trump's.
This is definitely AI generated and not a rendering, but okay. Good God, it's so fucking offensive to the eyes, dude. Oh my lord. Like, any kind of color contrast, please. Christ. Like, yellow, like, gold carpets would at least help, but... Oh, God. What is he trying to make... Okay. Why so bright? I'm gonna tell you why it's so bright. Do you see the Roman style pillars? You see the Roman style pillars, right? Everywhere in the building. Donald Trump is trying to evoke like Roman style building with what's here. He's trying to evoke that. And you'll notice that a lot of the right-wing chuds that love Roman sculptures and Roman architecture and they LARP about it, you notice that a lot of them don't know anything about the history, and they often don't know that these places were often really colorful. Like those totems, or sorry, those beams, those pillars and whatnot, and any walls, they were often painted and were very vibrant and pretty. They just got sun bleached over the years, and they're made of marbles, so that adds to the amount of like whiteness that shines through. So now all these statues and all these pillars are bleached white. And so you see a lot of people who don't know even like the most basic like fun fact about Roman and Greek ruins and stuff, who are like, it's all got to be offensively colorless and white, just like the Romans had it. It's like, no, Roman cities were actually quite colorful. And this is just how they look today, more or less, but not ruined. And also way cheaper. And this will not still be standing thousands of years from now like Roman ruins will be.
Style, gold and crystal chandeliers, gilded Corinthian columns, these gold floor lamps, checkered marble floor. The president lauded the $200-some million project today as he was hosting LSU and the LSU Shreveport championship baseball teams at the White House.
We're building a ballroom. They've wanted a ballroom for 150 years, and I'm giving that honor to this wonderful place. We'll have the most beautiful ballroom in the country. So you'll have drinks, cocktails, everything on this floor, and then they'll say, welcome to dinner. You walk into the ballroom, Mr. Senators, and you're going to see a ballroom the likes of which I don't think it'll be topped.
Why the fuck should the American people be excited about this? Why should we give a fuck?
My political sources are joining me tonight, CNN political commentators Karen Finney and Scott Jennings. And Scott, obviously the president said today that he thinks every president has dreamt about having a ballroom at the White House. I'm not sure that's totally true, but he has wanted one since Obama was in office. There was a word at the time that he wanted to help spearhead building one back then. I wonder what you make of this.
Well, it's certainly Donald Trump. I mean, he is all about hospitality. That's his business. And this is going to give us a place in the White House to do the biggest and best hospitality we've ever done. I will say,
this is a White House guy. This guy's trying to sell it to the American people. Like, we really need this.
I don't think it's super unusual for the White House to undergo massive construction projects. I mean, all the way back to Thomas Jefferson putting in the colonnades, or Theodore Roosevelt putting in the West Wing, or FDR putting in the East Wing, and Nixon putting in the press briefing room over top the swimming pool, the fence going up, Clinton closing Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean, you go on and on and on. The White House is typically under construction, either in small ways or in large ways. The most significant cosmetic reconstruction was probably Harry Truman when they gutted the White House, but he also, you'll remember, added the Truman balcony, which changed the image of the south side of the White House. So
all this is true, and the most notable example of the White House changing over time is whenever the presidents switch out and the Oval Office itself gets completely remodeled. You can actually look up a chart of every remodel of the White House from the start. And it's had a lot of different styles, and it's really neat to see how all the different presidents had a different style. And it's interesting because some of them are really different from the others, and some are really similar, and it's like, these two presidents had identical taste. Sometimes the same design gets brought back by a president, like a president will have had a favorite president, and they'll be like, I'm bringing back that president's White House Oval Office design. The big difference with this one, though, is that Donald Trump is just doing a vanity project. This ballroom is meant to make him feel like a king. He wants a royal ballroom. 2, the East Wing, the place that he chose, is known to be associated with, like, women in the White House and women in the Capitol. And 3, he also went to demolish the Rose Garden, which is also associated with women in the White House and the Capitol, notably the First Lady. So it's kind of an FU to his own wife as well. Though I'm pretty sure they don't speak to or touch each other anymore anyway, so that's there might be some animosity from Trump fueling him here.
I think this is another in a long line of improvements. It's a historic building, but it's a living building, and it's reflective of the people who live there. And I think future presidents will enjoy having a space where, you know, you could have all the senators or heads of state, or, you know, frankly, it's a public space. They'll be able to put more people than ever inside the White House. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Trumans actually had to live in the presidential guest house, the Blair House, for some time. But that was because, I mean, the White House was...
Mark my words, in 1 year, Trump announces it's getting transformed into the world's biggest strip club. The whole White House.
Kind of unlivable. Like, it was unstable to the point where they shouldn't be living there at that point. But Karen, what are your thoughts?
Well, as I mentioned on this program a couple weeks ago, I think it's fairly grotesque to begin construction, just the optics of beginning construction on a grand ballroom at a time when the government is shut down, inflation is still high, costs are still high. We saw new...
The market is fucked. Like, let's not forget that. Anyone who invests right now is looking at their portfolio like, Trump, please go back to doing nothing with the economy. Please just shut up. Trump, please just shut up, please.
Economic indicators coming out today actually showing that middle and lower income Americans are falling behind in car payments, which is an early indicator. So I think it's...
Americans can't afford cars anymore. Well, that's always been the case, to be fair. A lot of Americans can't afford cars but still have them because they need them. But now it's gotten to the point where, like, they legit can't afford cars. Like, they can't make the payments. Once people are just in countable record numbers missing vital payments, it's just a matter of, like, too many people don't have the money. It goes to show that right now we're in an economic state where there is very little to no spending money around right now. Like, many people are even struggling to meet their basic nut, as South Park puts it. And so, yeah, there are a lot of people missing car payments. And that's the first payment to go. That's the first thing people stop paying off, is their car payment. Because everything else is a bill. It's being able to live in their house. It's keeping food in their stomach. The car's the first thing to go. And then the rest of the bills go unpaid if you can't afford them, right? So, it's a scary thing. We're seeing a trend in Americans... steadily not being able to afford car payments. It's a very strong indicator of both an economic crash, but more importantly, of a crash in American buying power. In that Americans do not have enough money, they cannot afford anything, and that is the kind of economic crash that is a nightmare. That is when shit is scary. Like, market crashes are scary. Don't get me wrong, they are. A lot of people lose money in market crashes. You know, that can be adjusted. Inflation rises can be adjusted. This is a problem primarily centered around the fact that people are getting laid off, they're losing their jobs, and wages have stopped rising at all.
Even if you believe that this was a good idea, I would say the timing is horrible. And look, personally, you know, it was a little shocking to see those images, having worked in the White House. I mean, there's so much beauty and history in the East Wing. So it's sad to see that, you know, that huge hole.
As a matter of fact, here's a good point. Like, the economy is fucked right now. And I don't like to point at inflation as an example of that, but it does matter. Inflation on its own is not necessarily a bad thing, but you do want jobs to pay more to Americans. You want the average wages to rise to meet inflation. Something that has not been happening. Nowhere near has it been happening enough in the last 20 years especially. I was looking into something the other day out of pure curiosity, because everyone on Reddit was complaining about the possibility of GTA 6 costing $100, and I was like, I'm curious. $60 in, like, I think 2002 is when $60 became the standard price to buy a brand new AAA game. $60 in 2002. In today's money, in terms of, like, how much buying power that was, how much of someone's paycheck that was. $120 today. It's a little more. It's actually about $122, $125 today is what $60 was in buying power back in 2002. So in a large part, $60 price tag for games when that was first the thing was a really high price tag, and every year that price tag was getting cheaper despite it staying the same. You would think, right? Except wages have barely risen. They've barely risen in the last 20 years on average. Like, hardly. Meanwhile, $60 has half the buying power it did 20 years ago. Or a little over 20 years ago. That is a stark figure right there that helps to put into perspective how bad inflation can be when wages don't rise to meet it. And that's the hole Americans are in right now. Inflation will never stop going up. Inflation will always be going up. That is an inevitability of a growing economy. But if wages don't rise, Americans get left behind. And that's what's happening. We've reached a critical point where inflation isn't stopping, buying power is decreasing on every American dollar, and no one's making more money. In fact, people are making less money these days. We're at that critical breaking point right now, and it's only going to get more serious.
There. And I would just mention that some of the other things, the changes that Scott mentioned, those were at additions. This is a subtraction, I guess, in an addition, but it really changes, I think, in many ways.
So games are cheaper now, then? You can make the argument that they're cheaper now in the sense that, like, your $60 you're spending on a game back in 2002 could have bought you, like, 2 weeks of groceries, maybe, and now it might buy you one. And so, $60 out of your paycheck is not so much of a hit to... it's not like it could buy you a ton of anything else, right? But it doesn't mean you're making much more money. So games aren't necessarily cheaper, so much as $60 has less value outside of buying a game. Like, it's less of a big deal to throw $60 at a game because it's like there's not a million other things you could spend $60 on. Anyway, $60 came at the start of PS4 gen in 2013, I believe. You are wrong, Saxolotl. I can tell you that for a fact. You are wrong about that. The PS3 generation absolutely had $60 as the price tag. I'm pretty sure it was in the PS2 gen too. PS2 and 3 was $50. I'm pretty sure it was $60. Maybe $50. I mean, no, I'm pretty sure it was $60.
Ways what the people's house is supposed to be about, which is not necessarily a grand ballroom with crystal chandeliers, but it's about, the American people. So again, I just also think the construction timing is really just gross.
Demolition has begun on the east wing of the...
So yeah, and I really do think it's important to point out, the wing he chose was a deliberate message. A deliberate message to women. Trump hates women. More than any other group, I would wager. He sees them as objects. He sees them as obstacles. He does not see them as people. He does not see them as individuals who deserve respect. The idea that he would make a big, grandiose gesture of disrespect to women of America, all women, does not sound that crazy to me. That's a very Donald Trump thing to do. Keep in mind, his supporters were the ones who said, yeah, Trump won. Guess what, females? Your body, our choice. It was those people, the Trump supporters, who said that shit. Doesn't sound that crazy to me if you really think about it. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed this video, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way whatsoever, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. I do appreciate it a ton. It means a lot. Subscribe and ring the bell icon if you want to see more from me in the future. Follow my social medias linked down below in the description if you want to see more from me on other platforms, particularly if you want to join fan events like watch parties and movie nights and gaming events in my Discord server. And of course, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on, a roof above my head, and enough groceries in my fridge that I can bulk and get big, then consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub to somebody else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merchandise through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me though, thank you all so much for watching, as always, and have a good one, folks.